Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so just to before I jump on into this, let me say thanks everybody so much for being here. Sometime this week, somewhere before Monday, I will be going live and doing free reads for my subscribers on this channel. So keep your notification bells turned on so you that happens. And as always, guys, if you want to throw a comment out there where you make a suggestion about what topic you'd like me to do a storytelling about, feel free to do so. You guys will come up with some more awesome ones, and I'll be working through those suggestions. Today's collective message is inspired by Haley Lewis, who made the suggestion of confusion, a storytelling where we're going to ask the question, what is it that is causing a character to be confused? What's the reason for the confusion? What's the confusion all about? So we'll keep all that in mind, and let's go ahead and begin, shall we? All right, so here we go. We have a page of wands, and it's interesting because this character has like a little, almost like an auction item tag on them that says 25. It's almost like they've got a little thing hanging from their hair that says, I'm item number 25. I would say that to start out with a story of a character who has some confusion, keep in mind, pages are at the beginning of a journey. If we say, you know what, I'm going to take a trip to Europe, it sounds like we have a big plan. But if somebody says, oh, where in Europe? And then we go, I think I'll go to Italy. Okay, so now we've identified a country. Okay, but now next question, where in Italy? It's a big place. What route are you going to take? Where are you going to stay? The questions start getting more and more pinpointed. So on one hand, when a character has confusion, it could be because they're at the beginning of a journey. It's hard they're just now saying, I'm going to Europe, but they haven't pinpointed all the other questions yet because they're at the beginning of the journey. They're just making a plan. Now, there is something here, though, about the number 25. Maybe it's the 25th, maybe that day of the month, maybe, as I'm recording this today is actually on the 11th of January. So obviously we're not at the 25th yet. Maybe it's too soon for our character to have enough information to not be confused about something. But I would say for starters, our character has a spark of inspiration, but that inspiration hasn't truly taken form yet. So it might be less about confusion and more about, I don't have all the information yet. How can I solve a puzzle when I don't have all the puzzle pieces yet? So that's for this fictional character, that is how we begin. Now we go to a Six of Wands, and it does say that our character could be confused because they may be used to being very organized and being really successful in their thought processes and the way they organize and they structure themselves. And so it could be, okay, you know how they always say like one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, I'm going to use that, but flip that message around and say one person's idea of chaos could be another person's idea of like, oh, this is so smooth, this is so ironed. And if we apply that in this scenario, this character who believes that they are confused, they don't have all the pieces of the information, this feels uncomfortable, it could just be because they're so used to being super high functioning, super high performing. So remember, everything is relative. And if a character says, I'm so confused, I don't get the answer to this, I don't get why this is happening, I don't see why, I can't figure this out, it might actually be that they're placing their benchmark on things, and their benchmark may be really, really, really high. Their idea of what they're supposed to be able to answer and how they're supposed to be so clear and how they should never waver, it might just be because this person is not accustomed to ever having anything that they can't see the beginning and the end of. They're not used to feeling like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not trying to say this person is some control freak, but I am saying they're used to feeling confident. And when they don't see the way forward because they can't see all the moving parts and they can't see how everything's going to play out, that could mess with their mind a little, because now they're being challenged to feel confident with a story that they don't know how it's going to end. That would not make someone feel very comfortable if they're very accustomed to knowing how it's going to play out. And right now they don't know how it plays out. So now it feels confusing. What am I missing? Why do I feel this way? Why don't I feel confident? I'm used to feeling confident. So the confusion. Now, the other side of it, we could say it in a, and this is important to point out for our fictional character. Maybe they also, Six of Wands can err on the side of arrogance. It could be that our character is confused by something because they're seeing it only from their perspective, thinking and assuming that they're already correct and that it should all fall into place. So why is it not? Well, because there's our perspective and then there's the rest of the world. So maybe our character does have something else to consider, something else to learn. Maybe if they're confused about something, it's because A, they don't have all the information because they're at the beginning of a journey and they don't know how it's going to play out. And B, their arrogance could be in the way a little bit. They can't see it. They don't understand it because they're used to seeing things only through their own lens, as are we all. That's what's so awesome sometimes about putting ourselves in unfamiliar circumstances, traveling to different cultures, because we get a chance to see other people live and their lives are excellent and perfect and happy and fulfilling, and they may do things completely different than the way we do stuff. And that reminds us that, oh, there's not just my worldview. I'm not the only person who operates and has a successful life. You can be successful and do things in a completely reversed order from the way in which I do things. I think that's important for this character. So again, I'm not saying that they're super arrogant or a control freak, but there are things to consider when we get a card that talks about success, but can also err on the side or lean toward the side of arrogance. And hey, what character doesn't have arrogance? Sometimes we don't know that we're arrogant because we're like, what do you mean? I worked really hard to learn how to do this. This is how I do it. It's successful. What are you saying? I'm arrogant for thinking that I've figured out how to do stuff. No, it's just that there's probably not just one way to live life. Okay. So we've got a Knight of Wands. We've got a Five of Swords. So in this storyline is starting to take shape that we have a character who has, I'd still say that they're very high functioning. They hold themselves to a high level of like expertise, responsibility, and they have done well. They've always done well in their life. And so they're unaccustomed to not having things work out the way they put things into motion because they're a good planner. Now, certainly their successes can blind them just a little bit. So when they hit something that is unfamiliar like this, the beginning of a journey, and they don't know how it's going to go, particularly if they're dealing with a kind of character that they're unfamiliar with. And I think that's one of the biggest issues here. They might be dealing with someone who does not operate the way they do. And I say that because a Knight of Wands is not this character. This character it's a combination of dedicated and successful and still, I would say, has a lot of integrity. Meanwhile, this Knight of Wands has their own level of arrogance, but they may be much more imperious about things. They come across as, well, a bit of a Napoleon. I want to take over the world. I have every right to take over the world. That's what I'm going to do. There could be like a dictator energy to this character where our lead character over here, they have a level of success that comes with dedication, hard work, and yes, they have their pride and their arrogance too. But a Knight of Wands has a different kind of arrogance. There's an entitlement here, not knowledge and wisdom that comes with hard work and the satisfaction of knowing I've learned some stuff and this is how I do things because I know that it works. This character is self-possessed. This person could be selfish. This character is dedicated. This character could come across first like our lead character thinks, oh, they're the same as me. Like we both have a high level of, success. We hold ourselves accountable. We have a bit of pride and an imperious attitude, but not for the wrong reason. Well, this character may have it for the wrong reason. A Knight of Wands says, I want to rush all over, get what I want. But this Knight of Wands has quite an attitude to them. They will also, I'm going to say that they think only of themselves in this storyline. They feel entitled to think only of themselves and their mission, their goal. Our lead character would not be that kind of a person. Our lead character would pull themselves back from that. They would say, well, of course I've got to get stuff done. I've got plans, I've got, goals, but they don't feel entitled. If anything, they control themselves, but they don't try to control others. This character could think, I'm going to run around, do whatever I want, and devil may care whatever anybody else thinks about it. What you think about my actions, I don't really care because it's about me and what I want. And they come across as somebody who's used to getting what they want. They're pretty decorated. They're pretty, to put it simply, this could be like, I'm sorry, I'm not painting this character very nicely, but we're looking at the two different kinds of pride. And I think in this story, that's what the crux of the confusion is for this fictional character. They have self-pride, and this character has like a head that's really big. They think whatever they want to do, they should be able to do. And if somebody doesn't like it, or somebody says something like, hey, where's your loyalty? Hey, why are you doing this? Why didn't you think about others? They may just get irritated and go into defensive mode and even turn their back and be silent. They don't really care if they hurt someone else's feelings because it still is more about number one. That's to me, that's the negative kind of pride. Our lead character, they have a different version of pride. It's more like they have pride in who they are and wanting to do well because it matters that they have self-respect and that they expect themselves to figure it out and do well. This character, no, it's a swollen head. But here's the thing, it could be very confusing because at first, this person's attitude, kind of a go-getter, they go after stuff, well, so does this person. But the motive is different. That could lead to a lot of confusion. I can see how that would be a very confusing storyline, because character number one has met an individual that they assume operates the way they do, but they don't. That would be very confusing. The hostility would be confusing also, because it's like, I don't understand, why is this person frustrated with me, or why do they instantly defend their position in a hostile way because they feel entitled to do so. Whatever they want, they should be allowed to have. This person's over here like, well, I expect to get things that I want in life too, but not at the expense of others, like sovereign right to pursue their own life, and certainly not without a conscience. So I think this is our story, whether we like it or not. This is what's coming out, and I think that is a really poignant thought process. Wow. And we can see what it creates. A whole lot of stress, maybe a whole lot of unnecessary stress. But when our character can't put their finger on, why is this person acting like this? It's because they can only see the world through their lens. This is new for them. They haven't met somebody who they misunderstood like this, where they go, but this person has pride. I have pride. Why are they acting like a jerk face? They haven't figured out, our character hasn't figured out that sometimes people that you think are on the same thought process or the same behaviors, their motive is different. That's where the stress comes from. And I feel like our character is like laying awake at night, kind of trying to think about this, because I think they're very cerebral and they want to learn. They want to know why. Five of Swords. Thinking about, why did this Knight of Wands block me? I don't understand why they blocked me. Why do they not want to communicate with me? I'm going to say right now, well, first off, it's a blessing because our character should not have a broken heart from this individual that is so, I'm going to say, selfish. But this Knight of Wands may have identified our lead character as a challenger. Like, wait a minute, I'm used to, mommy and daddy said I can do whatever I want. And if the lead character questioned me at all about the way I behave. Mommy and daddy didn't ever question me. They said I was a very good boy, very good girl. So you know what? I'm mad at you and I'm not going to talk to you. But it's weird because I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's how I view I view this character. Sorry guys, I'm so sorry. Um but they may have it in their mind that they want to look at this character number one as a rival now. And we didn't see what their interactions were. Maybe these two were romantic partners, which would make rivalry very confusing. Or maybe they were friends, or someone that we would have expected to be on our side, and instead it became a rival. But when a character looks at somebody else who's successful as a rival, this kind of character wants to prevent them from being successful. So I'm going to stop talking to you and let you wonder why I won't talk to you, because that'll drive you bananas and I've stopped your progress. It kind of feels like they do it on purpose. Their their little blocking, punishing attitude, because they do want to win. They want to stop someone else's progress. Nope, I'm not going to tell you why I'm upset with you. But I really don't know if they're self-aware enough as a knight to understand that maybe it's because mommy and daddy said I can behave however I want. That's very much the like self-absorbed attitude that I get off of this. And if I hurt your feelings, oh well, it just feels like this person is very unevolved. They are just, I don't usually paint a Knight of Wands in that light, but they're connected to not one but two Five of Swords cards. All I'm going to say is that this was a blessing in disguise, because we see all these lovely little fairies that are actually here that are also like, hey, hey, character, don't think about this too much. Don't worry too much. Some situations, you think too deeply about it and you go, there's got to be some reason. What did I do? Did I offend this person? No, this everything offends this person if it isn't exactly what they want handed to them, and they have to be praised and they have to be told they're a wonderful boy or girl at all times. Otherwise, they'll be offended and throw a tizzy fit no matter what. So it doesn't really bear thinking about too long if indeed that is the kind of character that our lead character has been, had the misfortune of dealing with. So there's not really a heartbreak here, because sometimes, and I know this sounds terrible, but sometimes there's not a bigger mystery. Isn't it Maya Angelou who says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them? I'm going to say in this storyline that applies. If this character were selfish and self-centered, maybe it's because they're selfish and self-centered. If they block somebody for just because, like, you know what? You didn't praise me, so I'm going to be mad at you. Hey, that's just because they just simply want praise and it's all about them. In this story, and please know, I am not trying to say that in all scenarios, if, like we shouldn't care about, why a character feels a certain way or behaves a certain way. They're probably just a jerk. That's not what I'm saying. Every storyline is different, but the cards we got for this story say that our character is confused because they think that there's more to this person that they're dealing with, when in fact, in this story, this character is just shallow. They're just selfish. And so to try to figure it out, there isn't actually a mystery there. I know that's a weird spin, but sometimes the way someone behaves is what they really are. Um, there is no greater mystery. And that was what this fictional story was. So I don't know. I kind of really liked this one too, only because I feel like that's such a great thing. Sometimes there's not more to it. It's just that's it. That's who somebody is choosing to be. And there isn't a greater mystery to solve. So now confusion doesn't exist for our lead character after all. All right, I'm going to leave that one there. I'm sorry, I know it was a bit of a bummer, but I kind of liked it because it was to the point. All right, you guys, thank you so much. If you do enjoy my fictional stories, please remember they are fiction. I'll see you in the next one. I'm sorry about Puppy Aries.